Hello chaps, welcome to sunny Shropshire. I'm on my Syndicate Lake. It's a beautiful sunny day. I'd like to draw your attention to something that might be right up your street. For about at least 30 years now, I've used a slightly different technique for plumbing the depths. Of course, it will never replace the old marker system for bringing it back and marking as you go, but this is a completely different thing. It gets me the depth to the inch within seconds, and this becomes particularly more interesting with the more frequent use of zig rigs that we're tending to use nowadays. I can't think of many anglers that don't use zigs, and basically with a conventional marker float, it's quite a loud sort of affair plumbing the swim. You've got to start stripping off a foot at a time, and you know, if you've not got a marker on your rod, you might be using one of your Carp rods and not have a marker rod with you, so you've got to start stripping it off and estimating what a foot is, and you can easily go wrong and get it you know, a few inches out or a foot out. By the time you've gone 12-14 foot deep, someone's 12 inches might be 14 inches or 8 inches, you know, when you're busy doing this. But with this technique, you can get the depth instantly in a split second with quite a small lead. It's a stealth mode, and it gives you the perfect depth, so I can fish a zig an inch under the surface or 2 inches. You know, when they're on the top and they won't take a surface bait, sometimes they'll take it just under the surface. So I've been using this for donkey's years, as I say. So in conjunction with Enterprise, we're bringing it out, and it's called the PlumbEzee, which sums it up exactly. And also, if you do float fishing for carp, or you know, you might want to just check the depth exactly. You know, you might have a few pads there with fish in situ. Just flick it out, bang, you've got your depth. Let me show you. It's so blindingly easy as well. Got a spare rod here. This is it. They're going to be in the shops at $4.99, these PlumbEzees, for the big one. And for the guys that are fishing match lakes, and for, you know, pleasure fishing where you're using lighter lines and smaller setups, you think about it. They cast in, the match lads, or they might use a pole. Every time you ship out a 12-metre pole to try and get the float set at the exact depth of your chosen area, you've got to bring it in, adjust the float, put it back out. If it's not quite right, adjust it again, pull all that pole in. With this on the end, they put it in, bang, gives the depth exactly. So they just take this off, measure it, put the float on, boom, you've got it perfect. Same with all your pleasure fishing. It's blindingly simple. It's got 3 eyes on it. You put it through the top, through the side, and then through the bottom one. So they're all in alignment. Slide it up, put your lead on. You don't need a big lead for this. You know, you can use 1.5 ounces, something like that, or less. Or you can use 3 ounces. It doesn't matter if you want to fish further out or check the depths further. You can even use it with 5s. It doesn't matter. You can bang it out. The only thing you can't do with it, for obvious reasons, is use a shock leader. With lines up to, you know, 15, 18 pound, it works perfect. And with light lines. So there we are, it's ready to go. You have it sat there, and then I'll show you the next bit in a second. We'll get turned around into the water, and I'll show you how quickly it checks the depth. For zig fishing, it's sublime. It's ridiculous. Everyone I've shown it to, all my friends use these, and they think they're marvellous. I'm sure you're going to like it. It's an absolute must for your tackle box. So just for a demo purpose, just to show how quick it is to get the depth, I'll just sling it in there, the edge. Let it come up on a slack line. Boom. There's the depth there. That's exactly the depth. That's how quick it is. And you slide it back down into position if you want to fish further out. I don't know, just give it a flick out. Right, on a slack line again, just wait till it hits the surface. There it is, put it in a clip. That's if you want to be exact. I'm looking at the marker, it's on line with that gap in the trees on the far side. Bring it back. Quite a lot deeper there, look. It's this rod's a 12 footer. It's exactly 1 inch under 12 feet. So what you would do then, slide the float down. Once you've marked the distance, of course, lie it on the floor, get your distance, get your zig out. So if you wanted to fish a zig 1 inch under the surface, you would just use it 1 inch shorter than that, or 4 inches, a foot, 2 feet, whichever you wanted, or even halfway. But the fact is, you've got the depth so quick without any disturbance, it's ridiculous. So then you just let the float come down again on a slack line. Yeah, put your zig on, bang, off you go. So it's caught me a lot of fish, this has. Because you can put a tiny lead on it and it'll still work, and it makes no noise. And you've not got a marker going up through the layers continually trying to find the fish, recasting. It's dead quick, simple, idiot proof. As an aside to that, one thing I did one time, when I first tried it many years ago, I put a 6mm bead on top of the float. I was fishing Cuttle Mill in Birmingham in the winter. I used to go and test things, and I put 2 of these out, and I put running rigs on the bottom. So I cast them out, got my depth with a bead on top of the float, and then I put a power gum stop knot on, and then I put a running rig on the bottom, on a run rig with a, you know, the lead on a run ring, into a tulip bead with a running rig on. And we used to think we were getting liners all the time there, which wasn't quite the case. Some of them were liners, but a lot of the time it was aborted takes. So I put the 2 floats out on the surface with running rigs on, and some of the other lads on the lake were nipped for breakfast, were taking the piss. They said, have you took up pike fishing, Warwick? And they're all having a bit of a laugh, but you should have seen it work. It soon shut them up, because the float was sat semi-cocked on the surface with a running rig on. I was getting the float lifting and quivering, and I was hitting them. Sometimes I missed fish, but sometimes I was hooking fish. But the other added bonus for that is you've got a permanent marker on the surface, so you can get your catapult and be spraying it with 10 millis or maggots or whatever you want, whatever bait you're using, and you can be totally accurate. And as well as that, if you've got a load of weed in the margins, it keeps your line across the surface to the float, so you can be float ledgering. So it's got multiple purposes, and I'll show you how to set that up shortly. It's very easy, but yeah, I hope you like it, because I do. I've used them for a long time, and when I've done tutorials, everyone that's seen me using this has gone crazy wanting these. So there we go. Right, with reference to the added bonus of the PlumbEzee, what I do, I put a 6mm bead on top of the float. I've got line running through it, as I showed you before, and then I've got a running rig on, which is quite out of favour in some respects, but when the fish are being finicky and you're expecting them to hook themselves all the time, they're not always doing it. But this is a pure giveaway about what's going on under the water. A lot of the time the fish are shaking the head, messing around, spitting your rigs out, but this will give you extra indication, and it keeps the line out of the swim as well. So what I'm going to do is I put it in my spot, put the line in the clip, bring it out, and then I'm going to put a power gum stop knot on top of the bead at the exact depth that I get, plus ½ inch, so that the float can semi-cock. And then I just nip a PVA bag on, you know, a mesh bag, chuck it in my spot, so I'm float ledgering, which nobody really does anymore, which is a great shame, because you've got a perfect marker on the top to bait up to, so you can keep trickling in, you know, small handful of 10 millis or whatever you want, and it's a great way to fish, particularly in winter when you don't want to go crazy on the bait and you want to be very accurate without overfeeding the fish. It's a superb little edge. It's caught me a lot of fish. Okay, now I'd put that in the line clip, bump, there. If I was fishing further out for the purpose of the demo, getting it back. There's the depth of that. Yeah, so wow, about 3.5 feet, 4 feet or something. Marker. Couldn't be easier. Let's do a quick stop that on there. I think it'd be alright. So I've done it about 1 inch above. I'd put a bag on now, just to avoid any tangles, but it doesn't tangle anyhow. But just to make sure, and then you've got bait on the spot. Then put it out. And there you are, you float ledgering. Then you can run it back, fish it on the buzzer. So you can even float ledger at night, and you just get conventional runs, it just screams off. And you've not got all that line cutting through the swim, particularly in shallow water, where they can easily bump the line and spook. A line coming straight up to the float doesn't tend to scare the fish as much. But in the day, it's great fun. You just sit there with a couple of floats out, just trickle the bait in over the two of them, and all you get is either the float lifts up and dithers, or it just dives off and you get a screaming run. But if you want to watch the floats, you can do, or else you can just forget about them and fish them on the buzzer. Winter, finicky bites, it's the business.